How to communicate. There's a reason why we don't say how to talk. Talking is only one little part of communicating. When you talk, words and thoughts only go in one direction. There's you talking. The question is the other person even listening? And are you getting any useful responses back? At this point, you both could be screaming at each other. Is that communication? No, not really. Because communication means that when one is talking, the other is not only hearing you, but also understands what you are saying and responds in a useful way. If that person is agreeing with you, that's another matter. So here is how communication would look like. There is you talking, and there is your partner who is listening, trying to understand, and responds. And then it goes the other way around, of course. Your partner is making a point, you listen, try to understand, and then respond to his or her point. You don't just dismiss your partner's points, and you don't keep pushing for your agenda right away. Try to understand what your partner means, what he/she must feel, and why. How to communicate well then? Step away from your ego, from having to be right or win an argument. Second, listen, really listen. Third, acknowledge what is being said and possibly empathize. Only then comes the last step and you respond. 90% of the time, I would say, especially in a friendship or romantic relationship, you should stop before point 4, before responding at all. Especially if a person has come to you with a problem and is in distress. Here's a little secret. We all need to feel heard and understood. We need to feel seen. I don't know about you, but to me it sounds very comforting to know that we all need the same thing. Because if others need the same as I do, then all I have to do is give others the very same thing and problems could finally start to resolve. I can give them attention, appreciation, acknowledgement. I can give them love, care, trust, and respect. Why wait to receive when I can simply give? At least that is in my control. It also means I'm not the only one feeling the lack of all these things or feeling alone or misunderstood. Believe it or not, but we are all in the same freaking boat. Which means, chances are that if we admitted to how we really felt, the other person would very likely understand what we're going through. But in order to feel heard, something else has to happen. Let's have a look at all the points prior. Point 1, ego. What is that? It's that part of us which is screaming, me, look at me, listen to me, or saying, I'm right, always I'm right, you know. The less we were seen as children, the bigger is our ego and our insecurity, I would say. It would be so great if we could kill our inflated ego, wouldn't it? Look, I don't know. Try telling yourself for a moment you are not that important. Just for a moment. I mean, of course you are. But try to step away from yourself just for a moment, or else your wall will stay up and you won't hear what the other is saying, okay? Basically, step away from your needy self and give your full attention to the person opposite you. Only this way is it possible to make a connection with someone else. And you want to feel connected, right? What happens if you don't do this? The wall will stay up. You will keep bullying others or play the victim, manipulating others into getting what you need, but you will never be able to receive it because your wall is up. You need to be always right. You're afraid that someone, anyone, could see the real you, even though this is exactly what you would love to happen. You would love for someone to love you for who you are, but your fear is now so bloody big, that wall is so high, that it seems easier to be an asshole than let your guard down. In a world where no one is ever ready to step away from their own ego, wars are being fought and amazing men are killing each other in gang wars. And why? Because the world never gave a fuck about them. So they feel alone and are trying to feel good somehow with power, sex, drugs, whatever it takes. Meanwhile, the emptiness remains. Okay, enough about that. Second point. Okay, you stepped away from your ego, so now you listen. You listen and try to understand what the person is saying. Your attention is completely on the person speaking. Third point. How do you acknowledge what the person is saying? You can say in between the usual, aha, yes, I understand. And then instead of giving your opinion, maybe you can ask a question. That usually shows that you've really been listening. Of course, hopefully, your friend or your partner can do the same for you. It's all about balance, remember? Did you notice something? All you have to do is use the 3 A's and you'll be great at conversation. When we try to talk to each other, isn't it all about wanting attention? That's 1A. Don't we want the other person to acknowledge what we're saying by listening and responding? That's the 2nd A. Don't we feel appreciated when the other person empathizes with us or says, thank you for listening? There you go. Attention, acknowledge, appreciated. So, point 4. So when you're sure the other person felt heard, only then try to give your side of things, especially in a discussion. There is one big exception though. So what should you do when a person is upset or emotional? Which is often the case, right? You come home and you're frustrated from work. Or your friend just called because she had a fight with her boyfriend. Or someone treated your husband shittily because he's black or Latino. This will be one of the biggest and most important secrets I will share with you. When someone is upset, just shut up, listen, and empathize. How do you empathize? Really try to feel how upset they are for a second, and then either say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I'm just so sorry you have to feel this way. It doesn't matter. I'm so sorry. And or hug your partner or friend. This goes both ways, but usually men are far worse at this for a simple reason. They want to help. Hence, they want to give a solution as quickly as possible. They mean well. They want to be the hero of your day. But unfortunately, as they rush to help, they miss out on empathizing, and then the woman doesn't feel heard at all, and the argument starts. So, my dear men, stop. Do not, I repeat, do not give any advice, at least not yet. This is not about you. How can it be about you when you only want to help? Because you want to feel great and feel like a hero? No. Stop, okay? If you really want to be your woman's hero, just hug her. Tell her how much it sucks what she's going through. Well done! You now deserve a round of applause if you manage to do this. Well, we all need to have our emotions acknowledged first before we can be open to a dialogue again. If you skip this part of making your partner feel really heard, man or woman, you will fail badly. So here's the exercise. The following week, only listen, ask questions, empathize if someone is upset or had a bad experience. Don't talk about yourself. Don't give any advice. I repeat, don't give any advice. Just empathize and see what happens. And then come back and write down how the conversation went. What was the response of the person when you just listened? How did it make you feel to be there for others at all times? One last thought before we wrap up this chapter. I have all these tools from my favorite author on communication, Jonathan Robinson, who wrote a book called Communication Miracles for Couples. A small and very practical book, which is great for anyone, not just couples. He said something fantastic. When you argue, do you want to be right or be loved? I simply love this thought. He explains how we all have these so-called blame detectors. Afraid of conflict, afraid of having done something wrong. Add to this our ego, who has the need to be right, and the disaster is perfect. So, again, do you want to be right or be loved? I've been thinking a lot about this. Of course, it doesn't mean that you should never tell your partner how you like to do things or what you think and feel. It doesn't mean you should just try to please your partner and try to do what you think he or she wants you to do or say. I think what Jonathan Robinson meant is that our egos are often so big that sometimes it's just a matter of different views. And when it comes to minor differences between us, we need to be able to let go of the need to be right and therefore saying your partner is wrong. Often there is simply just a different way, not a right or wrong way. Okay, let's look at an example. Say your partner is in distress. Your woman came home because someone told her off how badly she parked. Stupid example, I know, but bear with me. So she comes home and tells you the story, and of course you're proud of the way how well you can park, and you start criticizing her as well, just like the other person did. Now I ask you, was it important that she was in the wrong? No, she already knows she might have been in the wrong. The only thing that matters is that she is upset and that she needs a hug and someone to console her. Or I had to laugh my ass off when I saw my flatmate argue with her boyfriend over how to correctly cook pasta. For me, this is just a matter of, oh, interesting, other people do it differently. But they started a serious argument about it, and I could hardly believe it. But it mattered to them. Question is why? But it escalated, and neither of them wanted to step away from being right. Was it worth it? You think these examples are ridiculous? But aren't most of our arguments actually ridiculous if you really look at them? I guess it all comes back to the lack of attention and all that, and with it, the inability to be vulnerable, to be okay with not being, in quotes, perfect. But if we manage to learn now, today, to communicate, we could still save most of our relationships. I think it's a damn good start.